Okay, so to start the crab stitch or reverse single crochet, the first thing to remember is that you will be working in the opposite direction. So normally we would join our yarn here and then we'd continue along and round, okay? Or if you're left-handed, obviously you go the opposite direction. So when we're joining our yarn, we need to remember that we will be working in the opposite direction. So I'm going to start, I'm not going to start in the corner because it's not the easiest place to start when you're doing crab stitch. Crab stitch is also known as reverse single crochet, but for the purposes of this, I'm just going to call it crab stitch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is join my yarn a few stitches away from the corner just because it's easier. I don't have to explain the corner to you just yet. I can show you the actual stitch first. So it can be a bit tricky when you first start, and you might feel a little bit sort of cat-handed is the saying I wanted to use. Bit of a British term, I think, cat-handed, and it kind of means that you're feeling a bit fingers and thumbs and all a bit, you know, kerfuffled. Your hands aren't doing what you want them to do. Okay, so there you go. You might have learned a new phrase today, cat-handed, when you feel all a bit butterfingers and kerfuffled. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight in. I had a slip knot on my hook, gone straight into a stitch, and I am going to just straight away do a single crochet. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to go into the next stitch to the right. If you're left-handed, you would go into the next stitch to your left, okay, whichever is the direction that you do not usually crochet in, hence it being called reverse single crochet. So this is where it might feel a bit awkward and clumsy to start with. So you want to go into the next stitch. So I like to hold my sort of yarn up here and then put my hook in, okay, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through those two loops that you now have on your hook, and you can see that's twisted and made a bit of a sort of rope effect. So you'll see that with more stitches. So again, go into the next stitch to the right, pull through a loop, so you've now got two loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. Now if you're finding that a bit difficult to pull through those loops, just make it a bit looser, okay, just pull through and make them a little looser, and then pull through again into the next stitch. I like to keep this hand holding these stitches because it sort of stops it all from twisting. Pull through and then yarn over and pull through both loops, and you can see that the current stitch is kind of up in the air a little bit. Okay, it secures itself when you go into the next stitch. Sometimes for this stitch, now I use hold my hook in the knife hold. This is the knife hold, and then you have the pencil hold. Sometimes for this stitch I find it easier to swap my hold so that I'm sort of not kind of, because this is great for working along and going this way, not so easy for that way, because if you think we write, if we're right-handed, we write in this direction, okay, so it's kind of more natural, so I find it a bit easier to hold it in the pencil hold for this. Actually, I don't know why I wasn't doing that before. Anyway, go into the next stitch, pull through a loop, yarn over and pull through into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Okay, so you can see it's that twisting motion that's giving it that beautiful rope, twisted rope effect there, and I love it. Okay, so just keep working this along until you reach your corner, and I'm going to continue my row until I get to my corner, and then I'll come back and talk to you about the corner. Okay, so there we go. There's my side. You can see it all looking beautiful, lovely sort of rope effect. Love that. Okay, so for the corner now, my corner here has 3 stitches in it, so I've worked the first, and then I'm going, so the very corner is my middle stitch. Some corners will be done with chains, so you have to kind of work out what's best. Now, if it's chains, you want to work into the actual chains, not the chain space, preferably, because if you work over the chain, as we do sort of down here, you can see these stitches where we work over the chain space, okay? For this stitch, if you remember me saying that until you go into the next stitch, it just kind of hovers in the air, okay? This is sort of a bit in the air. On a chain space, they were all 3, if you're doing 3, all your stitches will be in the air and above your chain. I don't have an example to show you actually, but they will be not actually fixed. It will be fixed here, and it will be fixed on the next one you go through an actual stitch, but over the space it will just be sort of free. Okay, if you've got a corner to try that on, then do by all means have a go and try that, and you'll see what I mean about it loose and not actually fixed over that chain. It's just fixed at the start and finish. Okay, so the idea is to go into each of the actual chains that you've got on your corner, and you could do 3 in the center chain. If you've got, say, 3 chains, you could do 3 in the center. Okay, if you're working into a stitch, you can do 3 of these reverse single crochets. You could do 3 of those into there, and that would make your corner, as we often do 3 single crochets in a corner like I did here. But because mine's quite tight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go into that stitch for the crab stitch, the reverse stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1 and go into my next stitch. Okay, so I've just done that to take me around the corner. Chain 1 and then my crab stitch, and then my next chain 1 and then my next stitch. Okay, so that is how I'm going to do my corners here, but sometimes it depends what you're working on, it depends what your corners are like, and you'll have to probably experiment to see what works best for you. You know, whether you want to do 3 of these stitches, whether you want to do chain, then a stitch and then another chain like I just did, whether you want to do 2 stitches, a chain and 2 more stitches. It really does depend on what you're working into and how your corner has been made on the work. Okay, so don't be afraid to have an experiment and then just undo it and then try again. Okay, so that's how I'm going to do my corners, the chain 1 and then a single crochet, well, the reverse single crochet and then a chain. Okay, and just keep working around into every stitch and finishing with this beautiful, beautiful edging. I love it, love it. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up and then I'll show you the finished result in a moment. Okay, so I finished my border. All I have to do now is finish up, and normally the way we would do that is we would slip stitch into our first stitch we made, which is nice and simple if it's a single crochet or if it's a double crochet or into a chain that we made. That's all fine. How do we finish off with this stitch? You can see I've worked into the very last stitch here, so I've finished all of that. So if I turn it over, where do I slip stitch into? Where do I go? What do I do? I could come over here, maybe go under there, but then, you know, the knot's going to be on the front. What do I do? So I find the easiest way is to forget using your hook and to grab a needle. Okay, and what I'm going to do is basically a sort of invisible joint. So I'm just going to snip my yarn off and then pull that through just as you would to do an invisible stitch on a regular single crochet. Pull that yarn right through the stitch, that's not going to unravel. Turn it over, thread your needle. Okay, so I think I had a moment of brain fade there. I was threading this piece of yarn. Did anyone see that? I was threading my starting tail. So I've got the right piece of yarn threaded now, and I've actually got it front facing. I don't know what I was thinking of just a moment ago. So let's just carry on from here. So what I'm going to do, if you look between each stitch, I don't know if you can see this, there is a little piece of yarn going across the top of each stitch of this square. There's a piece of yarn going across. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you look at the side of your stitch, so this is the ropey bit, and then you've got the side, you've got two pieces of yarn there, go in between those pieces of yarn and through on that side, and then just pull that until it looks almost the same as the rest of the border. So if you can see this piece moving just near my finger, that's where it is, okay? And then turn it around, and then you want to just go under some loops at the back to secure it in place, okay? Don't put it too tight or have it too loose. And now if you look, you probably can't even see exactly where I joined, okay? That's how you want to finish off, well, how I like to finish off, and then you can just continue and weave your ends in as you normally would. So there you go. Just hide those behind and show you the finished result. There we go. I love this edging. As I said, it's quick, easy, and gives a lovely effect. Trying to hide those under there. There we go. Okay, so I hope you found this useful and helpful, and that you've enjoyed crocheting along today. If you have, then please, as always, give us a thumbs up by clicking that like button, and I'd love to see photos of your work in the Facebook group, which the link is for below. So until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold.